been a while since I've done a what I eat in a day, but I'm very excited about it because I actually have quite a lot of recipes that I'd like to share with you guys in general. So I would like to do more of these videos. And it's something I'm very passionate about. You know, I'm very passionate about making food and veganism, and also showing people how you can take a simple meal that you would normally eat it with things like eggs or meat or whatever it is, dairy perhaps, but make it vegan. You know, it's so easy to do it. Like, I can't stress enough how easy it is to do it, and it's so delicious. You harm no animals in the making, you don't harm your body with negative toxins, and you just live your best life whilst eating great nutritious food that's literally coming from Mother Nature's earth. So without further ado, today I'm gonna make some breakfast. For breakfast, I'm gonna make a chickpea and tofu omelet. This is my absolute go-to. I do this all the time. Sometimes I do it with tofu, sometimes I do it without tofu, sometimes I do it with a bunch of veggies, sometimes I just do it with the chickpea flour. Today we're gonna go all out and do tofu, veggies, and just the whole shebang. It's very easy to make, a little messy, but it's quick, and that's what matters the most. So the first thing I do is chop an onion. Usually I will use actually a smaller onion, but this is all I have left in the fridge. So I'm just gonna cut it into small pieces and get rid of the cat hair on the counter. Classic. But yeah, I'm just gonna chop it up into, I could actually use half. I'm gonna use half. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. It's only for me, and I really don't need an entire onion. So the next step is to fry the onion in a little bit of coconut oil. So I'm gonna use red pepper and a zucchini, and you only need to use like a tiny bit. So like this amount would be totally sufficient if you're eating alone, that is, because you don't really need that much. Otherwise the omelet is gonna be very thick. And for the zucchini, I'm gonna also do the same. So this amount is enough. So the main thing here is just to cut them into very small pieces so that, you know, they're not too chunky in your omelet. And we do the same with the zucchini. So the last step is the tofu. As I said, I don't always do this step, but I'm feeling like it today. So I've got half a tofu in here. You can also press your tofu, but this takes a while and I'm a little bit impatient. So I'm just gonna go for it as it is because it still tastes amazing. And you're gonna wanna cut that into tiny, tiny little squares. All right, switching to voiceover because my microphone decided to run out of battery. But anyway, this is basically how you can achieve those tiny little squares with your tofu. It's best to do this so that you don't get massive chunks in your omelet. So add the tofu to the pan with the veggies and then cook it for a few minutes. Meanwhile, you can prep your base, which basically consists mainly of chickpea flour. I also add a little bit of spelt flour, which acts as a thickener, and then you need to add all of your spices. So the ones I like to add are turmeric, which also adds that yellowish tint to the dish, mimicking a real omelet, but it also has insanely good health benefits. I then add garlic powder, paprika powder, salt and pepper, mixed spices, and a tablespoon of nutritional yeast. Mix that all together and try not to make a massive mess like I did, and then you'll want to add some water to the mixture and give it a good whisk until it's all smoothly combined. Next, add your veggies and tofu and give it all a stir. So the only thing left to cook is the omelet and make some guac that we'll put on top of some good old German bread. They have these really great guacamole packs in Edeka that come with 2 avocados, a lime, and a chili pepper. So I'll usually mash up half an avocado, some chili, and of course a little bit of garlic. Mix that all together and add salt, pepper, and some lime juice. Annoyingly, I did burn the omelet slightly, but nevertheless, these are the results. Pop that guac on some bread, add chili sauce or any other topping. I put on some salad cream, which was odd, but it's all I had, and it actually ended up tasting pretty good. So I have to admit, I slightly burnt it, but that's definitely due to filming. Because I was really trying to concentrate on the filming, but it still tastes really damn good. You can definitely make 2 omelets out of that one batch that we just made, because there was a lot of stuff. And you can also cut the ingredients in half of what I showed you to make it just for one person, so it depends who's eating, but it's delicious. It's definitely my go-to. I make it all the time. So of course, every day looks quite different. Today is a Sunday, so you know, my mornings and generally my days are much slower. I really focus on resetting for the week. That's like the big thing about my Sundays, which means everything from laundry, cleaning the entire apartment, making sure that I'm completely organized for the week ahead. So what I'm about to do now is go through my weekly plan and just make sure that I jot down everything that I need to get done this week in order of highest priority to mid-range and to the least priority, just so that I have a very clear visual on what I need to do. And it kind of just calms me down, you know? When I know what I need to do and I can see it and I can tick it off, my mind feels clearer and just less bombarded. And when I go to sleep at night, things just feel calmer for me. So that's what I'm gonna focus on for the next couple of hours. And after that, I will put some laundry on, get that going. It's also laundry day on Sundays and throughout the week, but Sunday's like the big day. I've already changed the sheets 2 days ago, so that's fine. And yeah, after that, I will maybe do a little bit of stretching, we'll see, and then get lunch going. Okay, so before we start on the zucchini fritters for lunch, which is what I'm gonna be making, I thought I would run you through a little bit of a fridge organization, which might sound kind of weird, but it is really a thing for us. So Christian and I always have our fridge organized in a certain way. I know it's especially me, actually not so much him. I'm just a little bit crazy. I love things to be super organized so that I can always see what food I have. And this is really good because, I mean, at the end of the day, it really eliminates food waste, which is so important, and therefore it's worth just taking those extra few minutes. That might seem a little tedious, but in the end, it saves you money, it saves food. Anyway, let me run you through a little bit of how we like to organize our fridge. Okay, so not that it's anything super exciting, but we have our different levels, and actually right now it's not looking super tidy. Usually it's a little bit better. So starting with the top shelf, we have our Lazy Susan, which I'm absolutely obsessed with, by the way. I discovered this little gadget and I was like, we need this because you can always see your sauces, always. So you don't need to like try and reach to the back of the fridge to find out what you have, because if you're anything like me, I always forget what I own because it's just like too much stuff and it builds up and up and up, and then you just forget and it goes out of date and you can't use it anymore. Then we have like our little yogurt section, mainly mine. So I have my coconut yogurts, oat yogurts. Oat yogurt is something I'm kind of discovering and getting into recently. I don't know how I feel about it still though. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite. I used to love soy yogurt. I've kind of converted to coconut yogurt, and now I'm trying to like figure out the whole oat yogurt situation, but I don't know. It's not quite there yet. On this shelf, we have our veggies and our fruit. Let me show you these containers, you guys, because this is basically what was a big game changer for me. So we hold everything in these plastic containers. In this one, this is like a bigger one, you always change things around. It's not always gonna hold the same thing. But for right now, we have a bunch of mushrooms, which are 100% Christians, because as you may or may not know, I absolutely detest mushrooms. And we also have a bunch of lemons, lime, and other like veggies that we've used half of and kind of need to use the rest. Here, what do we have? We have a few plums, but as you guys can see, we always have containers for everything. Well, not for everything. I'd love to have it for everything, but actually at the moment it's just for every other thing because we just don't have enough, and we don't have enough space in the fridge. So we opt to have it for everything one day. But anyway, this is plums. Definitely Christian's purchase, but I love plums too. On this shelf, we have our fruits, and the containers do come in all sorts of sizes. These are my absolute favorite. They're the mini sized ones. And in these, we tend to keep a bunch of berries. So the small ones contain the berries. The bigger ones contain the vegetables that, by the way, I pre-cut. You heard that right, I pre-cut veggies. So this is the broccoli, which we actually eat a lot of broccoli. So the broccoli is always pre-cut so that it's a little bit quicker when you actually start cooking. This is what we love to do. I love to do. Christian would never do it. What else do we have? We have some hummus here. And then I've done the exact same thing and pre-cut the cauliflower because your girl wants to save time when she actually starts cooking. So we eat a lot of broccoli and cauliflower, and actually I'm gonna show you a meal this evening that actually requires exactly broccoli and cauliflower. So stay tuned. We have some avocado, more mushrooms. This is my jug of tea. I have been obsessing with making raspberry, why is that so hard to say? Excuse me. Raspberry leaf tea. Because I get really bad period cramps, this is known to reduce, or at least, yeah, I don't want to say like completely get rid of, but I'm going to say it reduces period cramps, or so they say. So I've been drinking this for the last 4 or 5 days now. I need to make a new batch, as you can see. I just prefer it iced to hot when it comes to like fruity teas. Down here we've got some leftovers, and we keep any other kind of spreads or I don't know, vegan alternatives down here, which we currently don't have any. I mean, we do have this open jar of cream cheese. And then in the bottom drawers, which I feel like you cannot see right now, but I will show this in detail anyway, we have our fruits and we have our vegetables. And then on the side here, we have all of our gorgeous oat milk. Big fan of Oatly, my favorite. I actually can't have coffee with any other oat milk but Oatly, because Oatly is just the real deal. It just tastes the best. It's just creamy, juicy. We've got some carrot juice, we've got pomegranate juice, we've got some, I don't know, lemonade, and our water jug. And of course, a bunch of ginger, and then we have some eggs up here that are Christian's. And that's basically our fridge, you guys. The big organization part of it is the small boxes. I absolutely am obsessed with them. I will link everything down below where I got them from. I mean, they're from Amazon, but I will link the exact ones down below in case you also want to organize your fridge. And honestly, it doesn't take so long. I know it looks a little tedious, but I love doing it, and I love opening my fridge and being able to see everything I have. And it's also colorful and fresh and healthy looking, and it motivates me to want to like cook and make fancy, maybe not fancy, but exciting, juicy, healthy meals. I don't know, I personally am obsessed, but if you're anything like my boyfriend Christian and you really can't be bothered, then I totally understand it as well. Okay, so we're gonna do this in a very improvised olive way using leftovers. I probably have the world's worst grater, but I'm gonna have to just use it because it's all I got. Grating always like freaks me out because I always think I'm gonna grate my fingers. There you go. Exactly what I was saying. This is actually an arm workout. So now we're just putting the zucchini on a dishcloth because we will actually strain it through this. First, spread it out a little bit, and we're gonna add some salt. And we're gonna let it rest for 10 minutes, just like this. So while we wait, let's put this to the side. In the meantime, let us prepare the chia or flax mixture, whatever you're gonna use. I'm gonna use chia, so you just need a little, I don't know, bowl, container, whatever. I have this little glass here. And you're gonna just need chia seeds or flax seeds and some warm water. And all you need to do is grab half a tablespoon of chia seeds and 1.5 tablespoons of warm water, create your mixture and let it sit. So our next step is to chop the onion into tiny, tiny pieces and mince the garlic. I don't have a garlic press, so I'm just gonna have to chop the garlic into tiny, tiny pieces, which is also absolutely fine. Just make sure it's extremely small. Alrighty, so 10 minutes is over. We are now going to get back to our zucchini, which is right here, looking all juicy. And now we need to basically drain as much water out of it as possible. So to do that, you want to gather the cloth together, and we're going to go over the sink and squeeze the living hell out of this bad boy. Okay, so final steps is to combine everything into a bowl. So grab the zucchini and place it in here. This was actually like such an arm workout, I'm not even joking. And you wanna add the flax or chia egg that you just made. Well, it's gonna be kind of sticky, so hang on. Let's first add the onion and the garlic. your chia egg, and then you just want to basically combine it. You can also use your hands actually, because you're anyway gonna need to use your hands in a minute. A tablespoon of nutritional yeast and our flour, 30 grams. And again, just mix that pretty well. I actually like to use my hands just because it's easier. And I wouldn't add any more liquid. At first it will feel like it's very dry, to be honest, but I wouldn't add any more liquid because the more you mix it, the more it gets moist and just less dry, to be honest. As you can see, it's sticking to my fingers now, so I really wouldn't add any more water. I'm going to make just 2 fritters, and I'm basically just rounding them into like thin, well-sized patties. This should be the end result, and it will be very sticky. So I ended up turning it into a burger, which I don't always do, but I was really feeling it. And sometimes I'll even have some fries with it, like some sweet potato fries, but I was way too hungry. Didn't have time for that. That is so good. All right, guys, so it is time for some dinner. We have had a random burst of sunshine coming in at, what time is it? It is 6:45. So for dinner, as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna be using that broccoli and cauliflower that's in the fridge, along with some black lentils. This recipe now is a very, how do I put it? Basically, Christian discovered this recipe through one of his absolute favorite, what would you call it? I don't know, he's not really a YouTuber. I mean, he has a YouTube channel, but like he's not a YouTuber. He's like a longevity spokesman, if you will. This is actually a really good recipe if you're looking to lose weight. So if you wanna go on a bit of a diet and you're wondering what to eat, this is really good. Christian has been on a diet for the last month or a couple of months. I don't know, he's very clean and lean with his food, but the thing about him is he tends to gain weight pretty easily and pretty quickly, and I'm the opposite. So for me to gain weight takes quite a bit of time. So when we eat together, he tends to prefer to eat certain foods that are like less carby, less fatty, and I'm more like I don't mind so much and I do like the carbs and the fat. So what's really nice about this recipe is that you can add whatever you want to it. So for example, I love to add sometimes like some sauces to it or some tofu to it, or I think what I'm gonna do tonight is add some dumplings to it because we have some leftover frozen dumplings and I really wanna eat them. But Christian keeps it super clean for himself. So yeah, depends how you like it or what your goals are or whatever it is, you can make it your own. And it is super simple, super quick to make. The only thing you might need, oh, you don't even need, I was gonna say a steamer, but you could just boil the veggies. I'm gonna use a steamer though, I'm gonna use a rice cooker. Okay, so now we're making something called a nutty pudding, and Christian's putting in some cashews, and then we're also adding some walnuts, and we're gonna blend that all together now to create like a nutty mixture. So here we have the blended cashews and walnuts, and we're about to spice it up a little bit more by adding some vegan protein powder. So we add how many spoons of that?
4 spoons now.
Around 4 spoons. So next steps is to add oat milk. Usually Christian uses almond milk because it has less carbs, but we only have Oatly today.
Then we do Granatapfelsaft. What is it in English?
It's pomegranate.
So eyeballing for the sweetness. So because there's no added sugar or anything like that.
So you can just keep adding liquid if you want it more juicy, I guess, yes. But I prefer mine a little bit more solid. So usually I tend to go for a little less liquid, but both is really delicious. Next we add also some cinnamon, right? Mm-hmm. And cacao powder? No.
No, just cinnamon.
Cinnamon. Looks good. And also when you use cinnamon, just be sure that you're using like organic, pure cinnamon, because a lot of the time it's like not really cinnamon, right? It's like a mixture of something that's...
It's like I think this is a silent cinnamon, right?
Yeah, you need to have like a Ceylon, and it needs to be bio, like organic. Otherwise, it's probably not even cinnamon. Yeah, so I like to add a little bit of agave just to sweeten it up, but you can also just go hardcore and pure and like Christian does and have 0 sugar and be extra healthy.
Now we need to add those.
Okay, now we're gonna add the rest of the vegetables into the steamer. So basically, broccoli and mushrooms take less time to steam. So you need to first add your cauliflower in, and then after around, what, 5 minutes or so?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that, you can add the rest of the veggies. So the first step is adding the cooked lentils. So it depends obviously how hungry you are. You can just approximate for yourself, but we tend to do like, I don't know, I'll show you in a minute, but like, yeah, this much. So here are the steamed veggies. Ooh, looking good. We're basically just gonna divide them into the bowls. Wanna be my guest?
1 for you, 1 for me.
So then we grab our chopped ginger and put it all over. Same with the chopped garlic.
Apple cider vinegar, and then olive oil, 2 to 3 spoons. And then we have to add some cumin. This is a very important one because it will help to reduce the need to bloat actually.
And fart.
Pepper, and I also add always a little bit of salt, but not that much.
So this is pretty much the finished result. Just need to add my dumplings. Christian will add his shrimps. We're adding some fresh chili, and that is basically the dinner. It's super healthy, it's super clean, and it's actually really delicious. It might not look like the most delicious thing ever, but it is. So what we have here is the nutty pudding, like the crushed nuts that I showed you earlier with the pomegranate juice and a little bit of oat milk. And then we have mixed berries along with chia seeds, linseed, some dark chocolate, and some almond butter. You can also add a little bit of cinnamon on top, but there's already cinnamon in the base, so I decided not to do that. But yeah, that's the little dessert for tonight. And you can do what you want. You don't need to necessarily go for these toppings, but this is just what we do.